All right. Well, we are well, we are live on that note. So, good morning, moms in real estate. We are super excited for another Moms in the Morning. I can't even say that. Kristen got us all off track. But Moms in the Morning show. I think that's the name of the show. I don't know, but we're excited because we are here with Mindy Jones, who is the leader of the Amy Jones Real Estate Group in Arizona, and also Mindy.
I told you it's
okay, we knew it would happen.
But, I'm so excited because Mindy has gone through exactly what to say. And so this is like, and we're going to learn all about this together because I don't know a ton of it, but it's like a certification and a book. And she's going to specifically be talking to us as real estate agents on what to say and give us some good tactical takeaways that we can implement in our business. So I'm just super excited to dive into this. How are you, Sunshine?
I'm so good. Thank you. I always love getting a chance to talk to you guys, especially in the morning.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. It's like a better day ahead because we get to all talk right now.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite topics. So,
well, I love it.
And just to give you guys a little bit of background too, like, so I've worked with Mindy for years now, and I'll never forget the first time that she was on stage at our Flourish event. She was up there and I was just like, you know what? She is like so put together and I want to be her one day. And like, we're super close now. And at that point we weren't. And I will tell you, I have had so many people listen to her speak, teach, whatever it is. And they say the same thing that I thought when I first saw her. So you're going to want to listen up. You're going to want to get a pen and paper because she's going to help you with your communication and taking it to the next level, even in this short 20 minutes.
Yeah. I'll just add that I came to Flourish this last year and I was like, oh my goodness, she was like a professional on that stage. And I mean, she just makes everybody, whether you're sitting in the audience or you're on the stage, feel completely welcomed and just speak so eloquently and just so well spoken. And so I absolutely love that because I know that's something communication. And this has been, I've been in production, real estate production for the last 20 years. And one of the things that I've struggled with, even with my team or mentoring agents, is understanding the power in communication. How you say something makes all the difference in how it's received. And so sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, you might have just cost us the deal just simply because of how you said something. And so I believe that this is one of those shifts that you can make in your business, and you can, literally, 3x your business by learning to have more effective communication.
And we are going to talk about how communication impacts your business today, and I will give you some tactical takeaways. But I think what's so important to remember is that communication spans across our lives, from everything that we do in a personal environment with our kids, with our partners, with our spouse, and our community, and then translates into our business. And so one of the things that attracted me most to this body of work is that I wasn't being given a script that was like, here's what you say at an open house, or here's what you say at a listing appointment, or here's what you need to memorize for a buyer. In fact, you can develop those from the work that we provide. But the key is, how do we go into conversations more confidently, with more curiosity, with the intention of building empathy with the person on the other side of the table? And all of those characteristics of a quality conversation are things that we could all implement very easily with the people that matter most to us.
Mm-hmm. That was so good. Like, I just felt like that was like a mic drop moment because, how many times do we have conversations to talk and not to listen and to not actually be in that conversation? And Kristen, I always say this, like, I watch Kristen when she comes into a room and like she genuinely just engages with people and cares about what they have to say. And I believe that that's why she is like such a authentic influencer, because she cares about the other people. So yes, Mindy, take us into all this good stuff.
So I'll share first what brought me to the work, because I'm hoping that for the people that are watching, that some of this resonates with you. And I think the biggest one is that when I am emotional or unprepared for a conversation, caught off guard, something triggers me, I am not at my best. And so if you think about this from a personal context, if you are presented with a situation that gets you kind of emotionally charged, the way that you operate, it comes from a different place than your logical place. And when that happens, often you leave the conversation feeling like shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Like, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have known that. And this happens often on repeat in our business. The majority of things that catch us off guard really shouldn't, because we know that they're coming. But the challenge is, if we don't set aside time to talk about those things, prepare for those things, have our own emotional response and reaction to those things, then we keep having those issues over and over again. So one of the things that I see, and I make this joke all the time, is that if you want to pack a room of real estate agents, just hold a class on commission objections. Like, agents will go to this same class over and over and over again to listen to the commission objections, when we know all of the things that people are going to say to us, right? But what the problem is we go to these commission objection classes, we're given this script to read, digest, repeat. It doesn't sound like us. They're not our words. We're trying to memorize something instead of saying, you know what? We know this is going to happen. Let's take some time to think about, why is this coming up? Where are the places in the conversation that if we backed way, 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 way up, that we could avoid that objection from coming up in the first place? Because in real estate, we've been like taught to fight at the finish line. We've been teaching our teams, and I fell into this for a long time too. We've been teaching them to like box, the quick 1-2 punch, right? Everyone wants that quick, like, what do I say when they get this? What's the quick, what's that quippy response, right? And we always say that clear is kind. Clear will always beat clever. And so instead of going into these conversations, waiting until we get the objection at the end, getting this like slimy feeling response that's supposed to trick them into what we want them to do, that doesn't feel good to anyone, certainly no one on this call, right? No one that runs a business from a place of curiosity and empathy. It doesn't feel good, so it never fits.
Right.
And so this work is all about, how do we back up? We think about the things that come into our life that are triggers for us, whether it's emotional triggers or things that we don't want people to say, right? What we call objections, right? And we think about how, with some preparation, can we control the pace of the conversation? Can we de-escalate? Can we get in front of objections? Can we build relationships with people? And what I found over time was that the people I looked up to most, they were really good at this. Yeah. And when they were really good at it, they could help a lot of people, and they made a really big impact on me. So that's what drew me to this work originally.
Well, I love hearing that. And there was just so many things that, because I feel like when you said, I believe clarity is kindness, but when you said clarity beats cleverness, I think that was like an aha moment, because sometimes I feel so in awe when I just have like a very clear, simple moment, almost because it's like the world doesn't operate in them anymore. We've made everything so complex that when I just hear something that's simple and makes sense and is clear, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so simple. And I'm like so excited about it. And the same thing is, I'm coaching agents and mentoring agents. 9 out of 10 times it's a confidence problem, right? It is a confidence problem. And you're right, like the agents are taught to, like have these things in their tool belt and to say them, and then they're not like their natural conversation or even their natural like operational style. And so then they fumble with it, and it makes it awkward, and it further diminishes the confidence. So I love this. So kind of, where's the starting point? So we have an agent, we have agents, whether they're seasoned or brand new, listening to this, and they're like, I definitely want to position myself going forward to just be, stronger and more confident in communication. Where would they even begin with that?
So there's 4 basic cornerstones of exactly what to say work. And it is truly rooted in this idea that clear and simple will allow you to interject your own authenticity into the words that you are using. And so the 4 principal foundations that I would say anyone on this call can implement starting today without any new skills, right? The first is, the last time to think about what you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. And I know it sounds simple, but how many times, and when was the last time that you left a conversation thinking, I wish I would have said?
This always haunts me. There's multiple things about when you're teaching this that haunt me in my dreams. I know I've told you this before. I'm such a
So
fly
you
by
got
my
up on
seat and my
stage
pants.
and
Yeah.
said, Mindy haunts me in my dreams.
Well, I just feel so seen. I just recently, Mindy, had a
seen.
conversation that I called Kristen and I was like, I was not expecting like all these emotional responses. And it was just all night long. I was dreaming about it. It was like stirring in my head. And my daughter's always like, okay, it's over. Like, you just have to let it go. And so when you just said like that was like the number one cornerstone, like I just felt that, because I think we all, whether it's like, in business or personal, we've all know what it's like to wrestle with the aftermath.
Right. And the truth is, you cannot write, speak, and edit your words all at the same time. And that's what we're often trying to do. We go into a situation, we didn't prepare for it, we're presented with something, and in the moment, we're trying to think of what we're going to say. We're actually saying it, and then we're trying to fix it to be the best version of it that it can be. And we're doing that all at the same time. And then we wonder why later we have 20 other versions of the conversation that we play out that in our mind sound better, because we tried to do all that at once and it's not realistic. So I think the first thing that people can do that are watching is, if they implement this idea of the last time to think about what they're going to say is in the moment they're going to say it, there's 3 areas that immediately you can see a benefit from this. The first is, what are the critical conversations that you're having in your life? These are conversations that are happening on repeat. You know they're going to happen. You can start with something like, what's for dinner? If what's for dinner causes chaos in your house every night, right? How much could we change the way that conversation goes with a little bit of preparation, right?
Yeah.
So critical conversations, things we know that are coming that make a big difference in our life. And these are very specific moments. So anyone that's heard me speak on this before, the area that I focus on specifically is when I pick up my son from school, like the first 60 seconds. How I walk into the room. Like, it can be something so little, but makes such a big impact, right? In either your life or your business. So what are those critical conversations? The second is, what are the objections? What are the things that people say that we don't want them to say, right? Just sit down and make a list of those and commit as an individual agent, as a team owner, as someone on a team, in a brokerage, it doesn't matter. Start one by one going through that list and saying, what are all the things that are important to us about this situation that we need to plan for? And then the third one is, what are the conversations you're having later today, later tomorrow, later next week, and start to lift your gaze in when you can start to be preparing better for these conversations. So that is just the first cornerstone. And I think that alone can make a massive impact on people that are watching today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And going through so many different things that I could go pull up my notes and just like unpack on all the conversations I'm having that I have not done that with.
Mm-hmm. Right? Because it happens all the time, and it happens without us realizing, because we're going from thing to thing to thing, right? In the old days, before Zoom and StreamYard, whatever, we would drive to our next meeting. And so you at least had that time in between the meetings to mentally prepare, or even to debrief from the previous call. Mm-hmm. Today, we go back to back to back to back. And so we're jumping on these really important conversations that impact our livelihood, that impact our relationships with people that actually matter. And we're not taking any time to prepare for them, right? So I said that's the first of 4. So I want to give you the other 3. Be cognizant of time, because I think this is where you can really leave with some good takeaways from your business. And you see that none of this is a script, right? There are 32 magic phrases that I can share with you. There's ways to learn more, go deeper and dive into them that will help improve the words that you use. But these foundational principles, these alone, without any new words, any new skills, will dramatically change the way that you look at your business and your relationship. So the second one, right? The first is the last time think about what you're saying is in the moment you're saying it. The second one is that curiosity is the fuel for great conversations.
I like
And
that.
what I love about this is that it's not start with curiosity or stay curious or be curious. It's that it's the fuel. It's what that if you interject it into your conversations, your relationships with others, you're able to go deeper. You're able to go farther. You're able to ultimately dance your way towards empathy and build trust. But often, especially in our industry, we're providing solutions or suggestions to people on what they're going to do or what they can do without ever being able to say, because of the fact that you said A, B, and C, I would recommend X, Y, and Z. Right? We're giving a prescription before we even know what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And so I think if we can remember the second cornerstone of curiosity is the fuel for great conversations, we can remember that when we feel that objection or we get that feeling in our stomach, right? That's like, oh, we're entering in a conversation that's an emotional trigger for us, whether it's at home or at work. That feeling, instead of us going into defense mode or answer mode or tell mode, that feeling is a reminder to our head to ask a question. You could ask a question like, help me understand. When was the last time? How important is it? Right? These are all questions that you can ask that will help give you some context about what somebody is feeling, saying, thinking, or doing before we ever give them a sales pitch. Right? Because we're all selling something.
Right.
Even at home. Right? Sales is just the opportunity to get somebody else to see an opinion, see an option, have a different perspective, some way to do something, right? It's just the opportunity to do that. And we do that from the moment we get up till the moment we go to bed. But we hear salesy and we're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be salesy. Well, you're salesy when you're pitching something before you can say, because of the fact that you said.
Yeah.
So that's how you quick change that in your business.
I can just say, Mindy, I've been guilty, and I've got through transactions and early on in my career, and I think the clients were well served, but it was like I would be wrapping up the transaction and learn like something big, like about why they were moving or something. And I just got to the point, I always do a debrief, after each closing, like what went really well, where were the highs, where were the lows, how do we recreate the highs, things like that. And it was interesting to me that at any point that anybody at any point could handle people's largest asset and, such a massive, part of their life and not know the details. And like I say, I speak from experience because I've done it early on in my career. I was like, how did I just facilitate their move to Florida? And I didn't understand why they were moving to Florida. Like, that's crazy, but it does happen. So I think that's really powerful.
And as moms, we do this all the time. Like, have you ever given really great advice to your kids for entirely the wrong problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, we do this all the time. We think we know what's wrong. We go into advice monster, tell this, do this, blah, 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 blah. And then through action, we see that wasn't what was wrong in the first place. And now we've broken or eroded that level of trust because we weren't there for what they needed in the moment, not because our advice wasn't good, right? Agents can be knowledgeable about this industry and what to do and what's the right thing to do and still not make that connection with their client.
Yeah.
Right? So those are two. The third one is people do things for their own reasons and not ours. And again,
Kristen's been using this. I feel like Kristen's been using this on me for the last 2 weeks.
I've been
Kristen's been exactly what to say to you.
I literally feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. The last 2 weeks, every time I'm having an issue, Kristen's like, it's not that. People are going to do what they need to do. And I'm like, okay, you told me that 15 times in the last week.
That's because I've been to Mindy and she tells me this.
But here's the thing that I want to say about that. Practicing this work on the people that you love and care about is not something you do to somebody. It's something you do for somebody.
So good.
Right? There are times where I have identified, right? Oh, you're using this work on me or my team even, right? Like, we've been working on this work myself 6+ years. I've been a guide for the last 2, so really implemented it in my business and with my team even more in the last couple of years. And I'll hear them doing it in our conversations. And it makes me chuckle, right? Because I'm so near to the work, I can recognize it and hear it quickly. And then I have to sit back and think, what a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift that they're giving me, that they're telling me through that our relationship matters. Because when a relationship matters, you're willing to put in the time to plan for it. You're willing to put in the energy to make it go right. Sometimes when people learn this, they're like, I don't have time for this. I just want to go quickly. I want to move, right? It's like slow down and speed up the outcome. Build empathy and trust faster by doing it intentionally. So remembering that people do things for their own reasons and not ours. And then the fourth one is the person asking the questions controls the conversation. And this is key, because when I say control, I don't mean telling somebody what to do. I mean being a guide. And isn't that what we're all supposed to be doing in real estate? We are supposed to be a guide for our clients. It is their money, it are their decisions, it impacts their family as much as the good ones like us try to hold all of this on our shoulders, and it keeps us at night and we cry when things happen. Like, it's real for us. As real as it is for us, it is 10 times realer for them because it's their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we can remember that the person asking the questions controls the conversation, we have the ability to set the pace, set the direction, and give them that guided guidance when we can remain in control of the conversation. So those are the big cornerstones, and hopefully some good takeaways for everybody.
No, I think that those are, I mean, I think they're huge. And I remember years ago reading which the book had some good takeaways, but oh gosh, what is it? The four principles or something. But one of them is like not to take anything personal. Do you know what book I'm talking about? I'll have to remember it and I'll drop it in the comments. The Four Agreements. The book is called The Four Agreements. And I just remember, I didn't see eye to eye with the whole book, but I remember just kind of putting those things down on a sticky note. And to this day, years later, like I have the moments where I'm like, wait a minute, like, don't take anything personal. And if you learn to do that, like, it's a game changer. And as you're talking and you shared these four cornerstones, I literally was like, our listeners and our viewers just need to like literally write these down. And I would say, like, let's dive into this even deeper. But just those four cornerstones, just putting those intentionally in front of us every day and trying to practice them would be such a shift in your business, such a dramatic shift in, having relationships. Mindy, I've ran a relationship-based business, and a couple months ago, I was very blessed and very fortunate to have the opportunity to do a merger, and it was a merger with a company, with a team that had a lot more strategic relationships. And I was like a fish out of water because everything was scripted and not authentic. And it was also very much like specific metrics. Like, when this call happens, this is what you do next. And I just couldn't function like that. And I think it's because, like you were alluding to earlier, in our industry, like, there's this natural transgression of like, learn these tools, put these tools in your belt. This is how you have a conversation, jump when the client comes, and not like pause, ask the questions, know the cornerstones. And so this just excites me because for our agents out there that are whether they're in a pivot or they're brand new or they're scaling to their next level, putting these four cornerstones in front of them can just dramatically, I would even say, would you agree, Mindy, that like in 90 days, it could begin to like radically transform their business?
The idea is that today, right? Today, you should be able to leave this call and look at a conversation that you were expecting to have later today or later tomorrow, sometime this week. You can right now, most people think of something that's kind of been on their mind, that they know that if they took a little more time to prepare for it, they could show up differently. And it can be with your kids. Typically it is. So we do a 2-day certification on this work in a variety of different ways that you can interact with this work. But in that certification, much of the first half of the first day is on these cornerstones. And typically the situations that people can think of, they're not business related. By the end of the first day into the second day, we're applying it to business and they can see a natural fit. But understanding it first with the people that matter most to them in their personal life is where you can find the biggest impact. And I would argue everybody on this call, if you pull up your calendar you'll see a conversation on there later today or later tomorrow that you could take just a little extra time to show up more intentionally to that.
I love that. I can think of the call I just got off of. I'm like, I should have had this call first, but
Well, think about like networking events, right? We all go to networking events, or we're brought into networking events, especially brand new agents. Like if you have a lot of brand new agents watching, everybody is vying for your time at networking events, which if you're I'm a single mom, right? Like happy hour doesn't work for me. And so if you're doing that, you're being taken away from your family, you're going to this thing, and we don't go with any intention, and we go in and we, maybe see someone that we know, or maybe don't talk to anyone, and we leave, and we spent all this time away from our family, and we didn't have any intention when we were walking in, and then we leave and say it doesn't work, or we feel down on ourselves because we did leave our family or whatever it is, when in reality, if we had gone into it with some intention, and we always say that you should have 3 levels of success in any situation. So it's like, what are you there for? What's the worst case scenario? Meaning, what's the least you could get out of it, right? Like you meet one person unrelated to your business, whatever. What you're there for, set a goal, talk to 2 people, meet one person who's new like me, one person who's experienced, whatever it is. And then the third is like, what would happen if this was my birthday and literally everything went my way? And I went to this networking event and I like met my new best friend and my new hiking buddy, and I started a new business with this person. It gives you this whole range of play space so that when you go, you leave feeling successful because you define success for yourself by giving yourself those metrics. And so no matter what, you leave feeling successful. And in this industry, back to your point, Randy, like, it's the confidence that's missing. And many people won't have enough examples of success to gain that confidence unless they're identifying what success looks like for themselves.
I feel like that is just the most powerful thing, right? That individualized success, because as women, especially, I just see so many of us start building a business and then we get into it and we're like, wait a minute, like, how did I even get here? And it was because, like for instance, with me, I was very, very fortunate to sit in a mastermind with some killer guys. And I remember thinking in the beginning, like, yeah, I hope one day I have an issue of trying to figure out what to do with like my, extra $40,000 or whatever. And all of a sudden one day I had like that same team. And I was like, wait, how did I get here? And it's just because there's not really any guidance, right? And so what I love about what you're saying, Wendy, is that this is like an ability to guide your own success. And I'm so passionate about individualized success. Like no 2 businesses should look alike, right? Like that's a problem if they do.
That's right.
So I love that.
So Mindy, speaking of this 2-day certification, when is the next one if people want to go deeper into anything that you're talking about?
Yeah, so the next 2-day certification is in September, and it's here in Arizona in Chandler. So there's only 16 spots that are available for that one. So it's a very intimate, full 2-day mastermind where we go through the critical conversations, the 4 cornerstones, building empathy and trust in your business, identifying what those critical conversations are. For lots of agents right now, it's things around your value proposition, the buyer, broker, compensation, all of those kinds of hot topics. And then we talk about and go in depth in each of the 32 magic words and phrases. We've run several of them here in Arizona. We try to do them about once a quarter. It's a very intense program. In September, you'll also get a set of the exactly what to say role play cards, which is a very cool piece to add into your business from a practice perspective. And then you also get the custom workbook that you can only get when you come to a certification. We're also going to be launching a virtual certification. So it's going to be over a longer time frame, like a 4 to 6 month time frame with role play built into it in alternate weeks from the training itself. So this is a very cool kind of new concept that we're looking at to help agents have more of a coaching program alongside the work because it's a longer period of time. And then we also do custom workshops all of the time. So we're at brokerages, we're on team calls. So if you're somewhere across the country and you want to bring us in to talk to your office, virtually or in person, I do all of that too. So I'll put some information in the chat maybe after if that's the easiest way to share that.
I feel like that is, and I will tell you, it is such a good point that you said where you do custom certifications, because I know you've done that for a few friends of mine that run businesses. Specifically, I'm thinking of Barb, because a lot of you are familiar with Barb because she teaches in here once a month. Mindy went and taught her whole tax strategy team and got them certified. And her husband actually was part of it and said it was and he's hard to please. He said it was the best training he's ever been through. So that was definitely awesome. So if somebody is a team leader, broker, owner, this isn't just for a real estate agent. This is for so much more than just that.
Yeah, I love doing it out of industry. So with them, he came to a certification that we did in Chandler. So they were able to get certified like that. And then I actually went in and they were doing a full company retreat. And so we did a 3-hour workshop for the team. So you have the ability with the work to get certified, which is intense 16 plus hours, right, of work. And some people want to take it to that level and really integrate it. And then there's also the ability to learn in 3 or 4 hours different pieces of the work. Like today we spent 30 minutes talking about a piece of it, and hopefully everybody was able to take something away that was super tactical.
Yeah,
I think they definitely did. We really loved having you on doing this.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And virtual options excite me because obviously, I feel like eventually I'm going to have a leg in Arizona, but for now I'm in Nevada. So I love that. Well, Mindy, thank you so much for kicking off our Monday. And I have no doubt so many of us will be following back up with you. So thank you again.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
Bye, ladies.
Mindy.
Bye, guys.